Hey, this is Sam with the BYU Software Training Lab, and in this video we're going to be talking about colors and the color panel in Procreate. If you tap this little colorful circle in the corner, it pulls up the color panel. The color panel is a really important part of Procreate. There's a lot here, so I'm only going to cover the basics today. There are a lot of different ways to select colors in Procreate. There's this disk that lets you select the hue and also the saturation value. Procreate will save the colors you use on your canvas, and those will show up in the history bar. There's Classic, there's Harmony. In Harmony, if you tap on the words up at the top left, it brings up a bunch of different ways to select colors and color pairs. Complementary, for example, shows only colors that work well together. So this color of red, according to Procreate, works really well with this color of blue. Going back to the Color tab, the Value view lets you mess with the fundamentals of the colors. Finally, Palettes lets you see collections of color. These top two I created from an image. These bottom three came with Procreate. My favorite is Campfire. You can set any of these as your default by tapping the three dots on the right side. You can also move them around or rename them by tapping on the title. Whichever palette is selected as your default will show up in all the other tabs at the bottom. You can also detach this whole tab and then it shows up in a little box. That's helpful when you're changing colors a lot, so you don't have to keep opening up the Colors tab. One really important thing Procreate can do is called a color drop. If I draw a circle, I can grab a color from the top right, drag it over, and drop it in. I can also do this from the Color tab. For example, I can grab the color right here and drag it in. Be careful though, this has to be a closed loop. If I draw something like this color is going to fill the entire screen because it's not a completed line. However, if I can cut that off somehow and complete the line, Procreate will fill it just like that. One more really important thing with the color drop is that if I just drag and drop onto this circle, you can see how it doesn't totally follow this line perfectly. There's a little bit of a gap between where the line is and where it fills in with the color. So if I drag and drop and then I hold, we get this bar on top called the color drop threshold, and it gives me a percentage. And if you see, as I drag my cursor across the screen, I can drag this line. And that's how Procreate decides how much it's going to kind of obey this line. You see how it's filling in more and more, that eventually just ignores the line entirely, goes here, fills in the whole screen. That can be really helpful if you're not working with a brush that's very solid or something like that. And that's the Color tab in Procreate. In the next video, we're going to talk about saving and exporting files in Procreate.